Hello there, literary thrill seekers, and welcome to my YouTube channel, Old Man Reads Poetry. I'm your host, the aforementioned Old Man. As I post this video, it's only a few days until Christmas, and high time I offered you something appropriate to the season. The poem I have decided to give you today is, not strictly speaking, a Christmas poem, but it does include one brief mention of Christmas, so I feel justified in using it on that basis. It's by Robert Service and is entitled The Cremation of Sam McGee. Now, by that title, you can probably infer that it is not exactly a festive celebration of the season, but it's an old favorite of mine, and I hope you will find it amusing as well. And as I said, it does include a brief mention of Christmas. See if you can spot it. As the California Gold Rush of 1849 attracted the writers Mark Twain and Bret Harte, so the Alaska Gold Rush in the last decade of the 19th century attracted the writer Robert Service. Unlike Twain and Harte, Service did not arrive at the gold fields in time to participate or observe the mining activities himself. He only got there when the rush had been over for several years, and so he had to depend on the recollections of the remaining gold miners, old sourdoughs as they were known, for his knowledge of the period. And yet, he managed to produce poems which seemed so authentic to the colorful details and spirit of the gold rush that they were readily accepted as first-hand accounts. And indeed, his first published book of poetry, Songs of a Sourdough, was so enthusiastically accepted that it earned him the equivalent of about $3 million in today's money. Thus, although he has always been considered a minor poet at best, and his poems are sometimes dismissed as being only slightly better than greeting card quality doggerel, he has the distinction of being one of the most financially successful poets of all time. You will seldom encounter Service's poems in anthologies of serious poetry, but if you do, they are most likely to be one of the first two poems he wrote for Songs of a Sourdough, either The Shooting of Dan McGrew or the poem I'm about to read you now, The Cremation of Sam McGee. Here it is. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold, and the Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake LaBarge, I cremated Sam McGee. Now, Sam McGee was from Tennessee, where the cotton blooms and blows. Why he left his home in the South to roam round the pole, God only knows. He was always cold, but that land of gold seemed to hold him like a spell, though he'd often say, in his homely way, that he'd sooner live in hell. On a Christmas day, we were mushing our way over the Dawson Trail. Talk of your cold. Through the parka's fold, it stabbed like a driven nail. If our eyes would close, then the lashes froze till sometimes we couldn't see. It wasn't much fun, but the only one who whimpered was Sam McGee. And that very night, as we lay packed tight in our robes beneath the snow, and the dogs were fed, and the stars o'erhead were dancing to and fro, he turns to me and, "Cap," says he, "I'll cash in this trip, I guess. And if I do, I'm asking that you won't refuse my last request." Well, he seemed so low that I couldn't say no. Then he says with a sort of a moan, "It's this blasted cold, and it's got right hold till I'm chilled clean through to the bone. Yet it tain't being dead. It's my awful dread of the icy grave that pains. So I want you to swear that foul or fair, you'll cremate my last remains." A pal's last need is a thing to heed, so I swore that I would not fail. And we started on at the break of dawn, but God, he looked ghastly pale. He clung to the sleigh and he raved all day of his home in Tennessee. And before nightfall, a corpse is all that was left of Sam McGee. There wasn't a breath in that land of death, and I hurried on, horror-driven, with a corpse half hid that I couldn't get rid because of a promise given. It was lashed to the sleigh, and it seemed to say, "You may rack your brawn and brains, but you promised true, and it's up to you to cremate these last remains." Now, a promise made is a debt unpaid, and the trail has its own stern code. In the days to come, though my lips were dumb, in my heart how I cursed that thing. In the long, long night, by the lone firelight, while the huskies round in a ring howled out their woes to the homeless snows, oh God, how I loathed that thing. And every day that quiet clay seemed to heavy and heavier grow. And on I went, though the dogs were spent and the grub was getting low. The trail was bad and I felt half mad, but I swore I would not give in. And I'd often sing to the hateful thing, and it hearkened with a grin. Till I came to the marge of Lake Labarge, and there a derelict lay. It was jammed in the ice, but I saw in a trice it was called the Alice May. And I looked at it, and I thought a bit, and I looked at my frozen chum. Then here, says I with a sudden cry, is my crematorium. Some planks I tore from the cabin floor, and I lit the boiler fire. Some coal I found that was laying around, and I heaped the fuel higher. Well, the flames just soared, and the furnace roared, such a blaze you seldom see. Then I burrowed a hole in the glowing coal, and I stuffed in Sam McGee. And then I took a hike, because I didn't like to hear him sizzle so. And the heavens scowled, and the huskies howled, and the wind began to blow. It was icy cold, but the hot sweat ran down my cheeks, and I don't know why. And the greasy smoke, in an inky cloak, went streaking down the sky. I do not know how long in the snow I wrestled with grisly fear, but the stars came out and they danced about ere again I ventured near. I was sick with dread, but I bravely said, I'll just have a peek inside. I guess he's cooked, and it's time I looked, and the door I opened wide. And there sat Sam, looking cool and calm in the heart of the furnace roar. He was wearing a smile you could see a mile, and he said, "Please, close that door. It's fine in here, but I greatly fear you'll let in the cold and storm. Since I left Plumtree down in Tennessee, it's the first time I've been warm." Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. I wish you a Merry Christmas. I hope to see you again in the new year.